A couple of weeks ago, we made a video where we debunked 26 different coronavirus myths, and that video is linked down below. Anyway, one of those 26 myths we debunked was that 5G was the source of the coronavirus. It's a pretty crazy theory, but one that seems to have taken off online, so we chucked it into the list. With the topic covered, we thought that was the end of it, and we wouldn't need to discuss it again. That was until the issue erupted in the news all over again, with reports of people abusing key workers working in the telecoms industry, and Brits even setting fire to 5G masts in protest. So in this video, we're going to explain where this hysteria came from, what people have been doing, and why they're wrong. Because, spoiler alert, 5G technology didn't cause the coronavirus. If you didn't know, we've just announced Season 4 of our PIN badges, which includes England, Ireland, Mexico, Poland, Finland, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Japan, Romania and Russia. You can pre-order any of these designs or the full season in our store right now. A link to that can be found in the description. As some will already know, 5G is a new form of mobile internet and is currently being rolled out in the UK and across the world as the successor to 4G. Without getting too technical, 5G is all about increasing the efficiency of the radio spectrum and allowing more devices to access mobile internet at the same time. If you were to think of it in terms of traffic, 4G is a dual carriageway and 5G is a motorway. First generation connections only allowed voice, second added texting and messages, third was characterised by the addition of video, fourth allowed for mobile gaming and streaming, and now we're at the fifth generation. Marketing 5G is a little more difficult because it's unlikely to be defined by any specific new technology, and because of that it's often referred to as a network of networks, combining together the power of all of the existing and future standards, including the current LTE or 4G networks. But every time one of these major network upgrades happens, people accuse the new technology of having disastrous side effects, whether that's mind control, cancer, or in this case, the coronavirus. I'm sure I don't need to clarify this, but these claims were unfounded when referring to the first 4 generations, so they're just as untrue this time round too. There appear to be 2 slightly different theories that try to link 5G to COVID-19. One claims that the new 5G network suppresses your immune system, therefore making people vulnerable to the virus. The second posits that 5G tech can in some way spread the virus itself. Both theories centre around the fact that COVID-19 started in Wuhan, China, and that the city had been rolling out 5G in the preceding weeks and months. The conspiracy theorists claim that there's therefore a link between these two, and that the virus has now spread to other major cities which are also rolling out or using 5G networks. Now, it should be enough for me to tell you that scientists and experts across the world say that this is, and to quote, complete rubbish, as well as being biologically impossible. On top of that, NHS England's medical director Stephen Powis described it as the worst kind of fake news. That's because these claims are completely unfounded, and Dr. Simon Clarke, Associate Professor in Cellular Biology at the University of Reading, told the BBC why. Dr. Clarke said that while very strong radio waves could cause heating, 5G is nowhere near strong enough to heat people enough to have any meaningful effect. Radio waves can affect your physiology as they heat you up, meaning your immune system can't function. But the energy levels from 5G radio waves are tiny, nowhere near strong enough to affect the immune system. There have been lots of studies on this. That's because the radio waves that are used in mobile tech and those used in 5G are at the low end of the electromagnetic spectrum. In fact, so low that they're less powerful than visible light. This means that they aren't even close to the damaging levels of radiation that might come from UV rays or gamma rays, meaning that it's biologically impossible for the 5G network to have any damaging effect on your cells. It's simply not powerful enough. One subtly different theory is that 5G technology impacts people's ability to breathe, a theory which was recently spread on UK radio station Uckfield FM.
What we're seeing with these cases in Wuhan, we've all seen it on social media, is these people suddenly just fall over. I have never seen a patient be walking along and suddenly fall over because they've got pneumonia. It just doesn't happen. However, it does happen with 5G. On your oxygen molecules, the little electrons with 5G, they start to like oscillate. So this 5G is absorbing the oxygen, and then your hemoglobin can't take up the oxygen.
Now, it's worth saying that this is absolutely untrue. As we've already said, 5G waves aren't capable of interfering with cells, or for that matter, absorbing oxygen, as this lady is claiming. Not only is this scientifically impossible, but it also ignores the reality of the virus's spread. That's because all three of these theories rely on the idea that 5G is causing the virus to spread in some way or another. Therefore, the downfall of all three is when you remember that the virus has been observed and is seen spreading in countries and areas where 5G hasn't been rolled out yet. Take Japan or Iran, both countries with high numbers of coronavirus cases, but neither have 5G technology in place. Or even within the UK, there are many areas without 5G coverage, with major networks focusing on large cities and towns at the moment. But unfortunately for us, unlike 5G, the coronavirus doesn't discriminate and is covering the whole country. On top of that, as we've discussed before on this channel, this isn't the first coronavirus, with other recent examples including SARS and MERS. So the idea that this virus came from a new high-tech source rather than from the animal route the virus has always taken before doesn't seem all that logical. The radio station who broadcast this self-proclaimed expert for 20 minutes received a warning from Ofcom for spreading potentially harmful statements about the coronavirus. More commonly though, these theories have been spreading online, primarily through social media sites. And it's these social media groups that have been linked to the potentially dangerous and worrying acts that have been taking place across the UK. As I said at the start, there are a number of cases of people setting fire to 5G masts in response to this theory, with some linking these cases of arson back to the Facebook groups set up to encourage mast burning. We've already explained that scientists and experts around the world say that there's no link between the virus and 5G technology, and even ignoring that logically it doesn't make sense, there's clearly no reason to set fire to 5G masts. This pointless vandalism isn't only senseless and illegal, there's also the potential that as a result, people may no longer be able to communicate as easily, not only making self-isolation harder, but also potentially blocking life-saving calls. On top of that, someone's going to have to go out and fix the masts. More people going into public to fix the chaos caused by these very conspiracy theories. Speaking of the technicians and engineers, there's also cases of telecom staff getting harassed by members of the public.
Do you work for the NHS?
No.
Who do you work for?
For community fibre.
So what are you laying?
Fibre.
So I don't understand, it's not essential and you don't work for the NHS, so why are you doing it? Does it not negate the government's guidelines?
Yeah, if you want to make a complaint.
Who do I complain to? Who's your boss? But do you know what you're doing there? You're laying 5G. So you know that kills people. You know when they turn this on, it's going to kill everyone, and that's why they're building the hospitals. How do you feel? Do you have children?
No, I'm young.
Do you have parents? Well, how do you feel that when they turn that switch on, bye mama? Are you content to continue doing that job? Are they paying you well enough to kill her? You've just admitted that you're laying 5G, so that's basically why we're all inside, why you've got free reign of London. No?
Everybody is one 5G.
Well, everyone will be dead, so who's going to be playing on the internet and who's going to be on their PlayStations? We'll all be in hospital with on breathing apparatus. Why do you think they're building 25,000 sort of concentration camps of death in the London Excel right now? It's because of this wire here.
This lady is clearly crossing the line and harassing these workers, even if she does think she's in the right. The problem for her, though, is that firstly, mobile networks like 5G have been classified as critical national infrastructure. Secondly, telecom staff are explicitly mentioned in the government's list of critical workers. Thirdly, she's outside and clearly within 2 meters of these employees while harassing them, while she should be inside keeping herself and others safe. Fourthly, as we've discussed at length, 5G isn't linked to the coronavirus. And finally, and I cannot stress this enough, they said they were laying fibre optic cable, and they were clearly laying it into the road. 5G is a mobile technology transmitted through masts, so even if you believe that 5G is dangerous despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, their work had nothing to do with 5G technology. Honestly, I think I made this whole video just to get that out of my system, because man did that video wind me up. If you've seen any other COVID conspiracy theories that are driving you insane and you think need debunking, comment them down below. And if you want more like this, check out the video where we debunked a whole bunch of coronavirus myths for 11 minutes straight, a process which was about as satisfying as it sounds. If you want more videos from us and want to be kept up to date as the corona crisis continues, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a video. You can also find more from us across all social networks simply by searching for TLDR News. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible.